Chapter 191. What did you just say? A major shareholder. Julie paused for a moment before she laughed. Ha ha ha. Have you lost your marbles, Rhys? You. A major shareholder. What a joke. Oh, Rhys, you can go around boasting to others for all I care, but what's the point of bragging to us? You're just humiliating yourself. Matt guffawed. He had done a thorough investigation on Dustin, and from what he found out, Dustin was, simply put, a good-for-nothing. He might have had some underhanded tactics up his sleeves, but he definitely had no real capabilities. Whether or not you believe me, that's your choice to make. But I guarantee that you won't be getting the company's rights, Dustin said calmly. Ha! You guarantee? How highly you think of yourself. Mr. Marks is in charge here. Just one word from him. And the decision is final. Julie made a disdainful face. I do not know any Mr. Marks, but I'm sure he does not have the authority to do so. Dustin remained unfazed. Ha! And do you? Take a look in the mirror, sucker. Who are you to say who has the authority and who doesn't? Julie ridiculed. Oh. Get out of here, Dustin. Quit embarrassing yourself. Matt jeered, looking at Dustin as one would a clown. He didn't even quite understand how he had lost to such a loser twice in a row. Julie. As they were speaking, an obese man approached them. The man was the manager of Harmon Pharmaceuticals. Harvey, you're finally here. Julie's eyes lit up, and she quickly went up to him and hooked her arm around his, fawning all over him. Julie, it's been a while since I last saw you. I swear you're much lovelier by the day. Mr. Marks gave Julie a light smack on her behind and a lecherous smile on his face. Stop it. Julie whined coquettishly as she twisted away. Harvey, I've got some serious business to discuss with you today. Here, allow me to introduce you to Matt Laney. Mr. Laney here comes from a distinguished family in Millsburg. Oh, Mr. Laney. Pleased to meet you. Mr. Mark's eyes lit up, and he immediately reached out to shake Matt's hand. The Laneys were a prestigious family with assets amounting to tens of billions. He definitely considered it an honor to be acquainted with someone from the family. And this is Mr. Mark's gaze turned to Dustin. He's just a useless burn. Take no heed of him. Julie spared Dustin no slack. Oh, Mr. Marks threw him a contemptuous side eye. To tell you the truth, Mr. Marks, I'm actually here for a mortunol. I'm really interested in getting the Harmon's company's rights. Matt cut right to the chase. Mr. Laney. I'm afraid I don't call the shots regarding the company's rights. Mr. Marks shook his head, pretending that he was stumped. Ms. Harmon has given full authority on this matter to Mr. Rhys. He's the one who calls the shots on who the company's rights go to. Mr. Rhys. Who's that? Is he a very powerful person? Joel was curious. Truth be told, not only is Mr. Rhys the chief physician of Harmon Pharmaceuticals, but he's also someone who's really close to Ms. Harmon. I heard that he's the one who came up with the prescription formula for a mortunol. Mr. Marks explained. He must be a really brilliant person to be able to produce a mortunol. I wonder if I'll ever have the privilege of meeting him. An expectant expression came over Julie's face. She always had the habit of forming connections with people by bringing them into her bed. Mr. Marks, where is Mr. Rhys? Could you please introduce him to me? Matt tried his luck. Well, Mr. Marks hesitated. Ah, right, I have a gift for you. Please have this. Matt quickly pulled out $1 million check and handed it to Mr. Marks. Ha ha ha. How generous of you, Mr. Laney. Mr. Marks beamed brightly at the sight of the check. And about the company's rights? Matt prompted. Of course, there won't be a problem. Chapter 192. To tell you the truth, Mr. Rhys is a tight buddy of mine. We'd give our lives up for each other. In fact, I had a night out drinking with him just yesterday. As long as I put a word in for you, he'll definitely do me this favor. Mr. Marks assured. Dustin chuckled lightly at that. What an artful liar. Hey. What are you sniggering at? Mr. Marks glared at Dustin. Ignore him, Harvey. He's just a loser. Julie rolled her eyes. Mr. Marks, if you can get me the company's rights, I'll be sure to repay you handsomely. Matt promised. Ha ha. No problem. I'll get it done. Mr. Marks was beyond elated. Thank you, Mr. Marks. Matt grinned too. Judging from the high demand for Immortunal, he would soon be filthy rich once he got the company's rights. And then, he would have no difficulty restoring his family to its former glory. Mr. Matt, I happen to have another business opportunity apart from the company's rights. Would you be interested? Mr. Marks asked sneakily. Oh. And what business opportunity is that? Matt raised a brow. Mr. Marks looked around him and said softly. Our company's demands are very high quality on Immortunal, so products that do not reach the benchmark will be destroyed. Several of us managers agree that that's a waste, so we kept those substandard products and plan on selling them off. If you want them, I can sell them to you at a really good price. Substandard products. What good will they do? Julie wondered aloud. See, Julie, they may be substandard and less effective, but they can easily be passed off as quality products. Nobody can tell them apart from genuine Immortunals when they are put together. Mr. Marks smiled profoundly. Really? Julie's eyes lit up. When have I ever lied to you? Here. How's this? If you take them, I'll sell them at a fifth of the original price. You can sell them off and earn a great deal. Mr. Marks proposed. That sounds amazing. Thank you, Harvey. Julie was overjoyed. What do you think of this deal, Mr. Matt? Mr. Marks' gaze bore into him. It's a great deal, no doubt. I'll take however much of the stock you have, Mr. Marks. Matt beamed. It was a steal to be able to purchase Immortunal at a fifth of the original price. Matt was not one to let such a good offer pass him by. As for the quality of the products, he couldn't care less about that. All he cared about was that he'd make money from them. If anything were to. Chapter 193. You. How dare you hit me? Mr. Marks held his face, which still burned from the smack. A mix of anger and shock was evident on his face. With the Harmons behind him, people fought to curry favor with him everywhere he went. When has anyone ever had the gall to hit him? So what if I smacked you? As an employee, you're supposed to uphold the standards of the company. But look what you're doing. You steal from the company and mix substandard products with quality products. I think you deserve every bit of that smack. As Dustin spoke, he went up and delivered a few more smacks. Mr. Marks saw stars and bled from both his nose and mouth. The commotion attracted a lot of onlookers. Goodness. Who's this? How dare he hit Mr. Marks? Wreaking havoc on Harmon's premise. I gotta say, he's something else. I think he's just ignorant. He's going to end up in a lot of trouble. The crowd gathered around to watch and exchanged comments among themselves. Rhys. Are you out of your mind? Stop it this instant. Shocked. Julie halted him immediately. Dustin. Have you any idea how much trouble you've gotten yourself into? How dare you hit Mr. Marks? You're not getting out of this door in one piece today. Matt roared. But Dustin was not the least bit fazed. He went ahead and gave Mr. Marks another round of beatings. He could let things slide if all he did was run his mouth and be unrepentant about them. But he was even about to get violent. How reckless. That did not sit well with Dustin at all. Security. Someone. Anyone. Mr. Marks shouted in agony. Soon, a large number of guards swarmed over. They had Dustin surrounded in less than a minute. Rhys. How dare you beat Mr. Marks up? You'll be sorry. Julie scowled when she saw that they had backup. She looked at Dustin, waiting to see what misfortune would befall him. HMPH. You ignorant fool. Nobody can save you now. Matt also basked in the pleasure of seeing Dustin get into trouble with Mr. Marks. Dustin had rubbed him the wrong way for quite a while now. He simply hadn't taken action yet because he had an image to uphold. Matt couldn't be happier now that someone was about to teach Dustin a lesson. What are you guys doing just standing there? I want to see his arms and legs broken. Right now. I'll bear the consequences. Mr. Marks hollered at the guards as he pointed his finger at Dustin. What's going on? A loud voice rang just as the guards were about to get rough. A man with a squarish face rushed over with an imposing presence. He had several men following behind him. Dustin spared him a glance and recognized him as Morgan Finn, the vice president of Harmon Pharmaceuticals. The moment they caught sight of him, the crowd made way for him to pass through. Even Mr. Marks, who had been barking orders at the guards, quieted down. Is this their superior? We can't be so unlucky, can we? Julie wondered. She gulped dryly, an inexplicable anxiousness coming over her. She could tell that this man approaching them was someone of status based on how much Mr. Marks feared him. This bastard really lucked out. Matt thought as he gritted his teeth out of annoyance. He had thought that Mr. Marks would be able to revenge his grudge against Dustin, but this man's unexpected appearance seemed to have ruined that. Mr. Finn, you've come at the right time. This man here is stealing from the company when he should be protecting it. He's stolen and sold substandard products. This will badly tarnish the company's reputation. You need to arrest him, Dustin said as he pointed at Mr. Marks. Morgan squinted and hummed lightly. Oh. Are you telling me what I should be doing? And who are you to be doing that? Do I even know you? Mr. Finn, we've met before, Dustin replied. So what? I've met lots of people. Am I supposed to know all of them? Morgan gave Dustin a derogatory once-over. Also, who do you think you are? Who are you to butt into the internal affairs of the company? Dustin frowned when he heard what Morgan had to say. Mr. Finn, as vice president of the company, are you not going to look into actions that will ruin the company's reputation? Whether or not I look into the matter is my call to make. What evidence have you got to claim that Mr. Marks is selling substandard products? You want evidence. Here's your evidence. Dustin kicked the box over, spilling amortinol all over the ground. Hey, young man, so what if these amortinols are substandard? How are you going to prove that they belong to Mr. Marks? Who's to say you didn't steal them? Morgan retaliated. Mr. Marks was taken aback for a moment, but he quickly reacted. That's right. Mr. Finn, this fella here is a thief. I caught him stealing from us. I did not expect this brazen rascal to fight back so violently. He's truly heinous and despicable. I can vouch for that. He's the one who stole the amortinols. Julie added. Chapter 194. Do you hear that? Everyone's saying that you're the thief. Morgan smirked maliciously. Which insolent bastard is this who dared meddle in his affairs? Mr. Finn, it seems like you're going to cover up for him, then. Dustin's eyes narrowed, a menacing look in his eyes. It suddenly made sense to Dustin why Mr. Marks dared to act so rampantly. It was because he had an equally unrighteous superior. Dustin had thought that he had seen the worst from Mr. Marks, but it turns out that Morgan was worse. Not only did he distort the truth, he even framed others for things that they did not do. It was plain for all to see that his subordinate was in the wrong, but he blatantly put the blame on Custon. That was too much. So what if I cover up for him? Who do you think calls the shots here? Mr. Finn pressed his lips together into a thin line. I'm giving you a chance now. Get down on your knees and apologize to Mr. Marks right now, and admit that you were wrong. If you don't, I'll make sure you spend the rest of your days behind bars. Are you sure that's what you want to do? Dustin challenged. Do I look like I'm joking? You should check if your opponent has someone behind him before you go throwing your weight around like that. Who do you think you are to do as you wish on my turf? Now get on your knees and apologize. Morgan roared. Do you hear that? Get on your knees. Mister. Marks jeered, looking at Dustin like he had victory over him. Rhys. Why did you even intervene in the first place? This is what you get for meddling in other people's business. Julie gloated. You really think too highly of yourself. Matt shot him a contemptuous and dismissive look. In the face of absolute power, it was irrelevant whether you were right or wrong. So what if you were right? When the person in power dictated that you're wrong, you have no way of defending yourself, such was the law of society. All right, if you've made your choice, then don't regret it. Dustin didn't waste much time talking to them. He cut his phone and made a call. Oh. You're calling for backup. Ha ha ha. Morgan snickered. Hey, brat. I don't think you get the idea here. This is my turf, and I call the shots here. Who do you think can save you now? Mr. Finn. Let's not get too cocky. I think the Harmons are in charge here at Harmon Pharmaceuticals, not you. Mr. Finn. Dustin corrected him. So what? I'm a founding member of Harmon Pharmaceuticals. Even Natasha Harmon has to address me respectfully. What more of a scoundrel like you? Morgan announced arrogantly. As he finished his sentence, a crisp and clear feminine voice rang out. Is that so? Sir, I should be addressing you respectfully now. The crowd turned to the source of the voice to see an elegant woman dressed in red entering and approaching them. It was Natasha Harmon. Ms. Harmon. Morgan felt a premonition of oncoming trouble. He immediately forced a smile and went up to her. Why have you come? I'm here to join in the fun. Am I not welcome here, respected Mr. Finn? Natasha put extra emphasis on how she addressed Mr. Finn. Ms. Harmon, that was just a joke. Don't take it to heart, Morgan explained awkwardly. How was he to that she would appear at such terrible timing? A joke. It didn't sound like one to me. You sounded so sure of yourself back there, Natasha said, unperturbed. Well, Morgan could not find the words to excuse himself for what he said. Forget it. I'll let that go. Now tell me, what's going on here? Natasha asked calmly. Ms. Harmon, here's what happened. Mr. Marks was just about to explain when he was cut off by a glare from Natasha. Are you in a position to speak now? Know your place. Morgan turned to Mr. Marks and scolded him. Then he turned back to Natasha and smiled apologetically. Ms. Harmon, it's nothing much. It's just that there's someone here with unethical intentions who stole some amortinols. I'm already handling it, and this will be settled in no time. Oh. Who's so audacious to steal amortinols? Natasha asked. It's that rascal. Morgan pointed at Dustin. Mr. Finn, are you sure it's him? Natasha looked like she was holding back a smile. Of course I'm sure. And do you know who he is? Natasha asked, amused. No matter who he is, he's committed a grave offense by stealing the amortinols. We need to ensure that justice is served. Morgan declared in feigned righteousness. All right then. I'll have you know. Natasha's expression darkened over. This man whom you've accused of theft is the chief physician of Harmon Pharmaceuticals and the developer of amortinol, Dustin Rhys. An uproar broke out when the crowd heard that. Chapter 195. What? Mr. Rhys. Morgan had shock written all over his face. He had indeed received news that the developer of amortinol, Mr. Rhys, would be present today, but he hadn't expected him to be so young. No way. He's Mr. Rhys. Mr. Marks's eyes widened in disbelief. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that the person he had been bragging about being a tight buddy with was right there in front of him. This was bad. This was really bad. They were in deep trouble now. Mr. Rhys. Dustin Rhys. Julie looked around in bewilderment. They must be mistaken. The brilliant Mr. Rhys who developed amortinol was Dustin. How is that possible? She mused. What ability does this rascal possess to be able to come up with the prescription formula for amortinol? Matt felt astonished, which was soon taken over by jealousy. Amortinol was a precious drug that was able to bring in endless fortune. But how did such a treasure end up in the hands of such a worthless person? It was truly a waste. Mr. Finn, I'll ask you one more time, Natasha said. Do you think that Mr. Rhys is the person who stole these amortinols? This might be a misunderstanding. The corners of Morgan's eyes twitched and he forced a smile. A misunderstanding. So what you're saying is that Mr. Rhys isn't the thief? Natasha scoffed. Of course. Why would Mr. Rhys steal his own products? Morgan nodded repeatedly. All right, then tell me, who was the one who stole this box of substandard amortinol? Natasha asked authoritatively. I understand now. Morgan pretended to finally understand what was going on. It must have been Mr. Marks who stole the company's products when he was supposed to be guarding them. He misused his authority and accused Mr. Rhys before we even looked into the issue. We cannot tolerate such a vile person in the company. I'll fire him right away. Mr. Finn, shut up. Just as Mr. Marks was about to speak, Morgan gave him a hard slap and reprimanded him loudly. You piece of trash. Admit your mistakes or I'll not go easy on you. Yes, I was wrong. Please forgive me, Mr. Finn. I'll never repeat my mistakes again. Mr. Marks covered his face with his hands, shaking as he admitted his wrongdoing. Why are you apologizing to me? It's Ms. Harmon you should be apologizing to. Morgan roared. Ms. Harmon, I'm so sorry. Please let me off this time. I know that I was wrong. Mr. Marks fell to his knees asking for forgiveness. Natasha ignored him completely, her gaze fixed on Morgan. What a smart move, Mr. Finn. You're pushing someone else under the bus to save your own sorry ass. But do you really think that you'll get away scot-free? Ms. Harmon, what do you mean? I'm afraid I do not follow. Morgan's brows were tightly knit. Don't assume that I do not know what you've done. I just never bothered to take action. But you've messed with the wrong person now. I'm giving you one last chance. Give Mr. Rhys a sincere apology for your behavior today, or be prepared to bear the consequences. Natasha ordered with an icy expression. Ms. Harmon, you must be kidding me. Morgan's expression darkened. I'm a founding member and the vice president of the company. How could you make me apologize to a mere boy toy like him? How will I put my subordinates in line if I do that? You're not apologizing, are you? Guards, beat him up. Natasha wasted no time with him. With a snap of her fingers, 2 bodyguards came up to them and gave Morgan several hard smacks on his face. He was totally befuddled. Chapter 196. How could you order them to smack me? Morgan cradled his face in his palms as disbelief consumed him. Not only did I get him to hit you, I'm throwing you out too. As of this moment, you are no longer vice president of the company. Natasha said bluntly. Natasha Harmon. This is too much. I've slaved my ass off in the company all these years, and you're laying me off all because of this scoundrel. How won't sit well with the rest of the employees? You dismiss my effort and labor. Are you not afraid that this? What? Is that a threat? Do you think that you are in a position to threaten me? Natasha laughed mockingly. Let me be honest here. I'm not only going to fire you, but I'm also sending you to prison today. I have records of all your dirty deeds, which I'm sure are enough to keep you in there for a lifetime. Natasha Harmon. How dare you? I have the support of your cousin, Quentin Harmon. Morgan shouted loudly, though he was trembling within. Quentin Harmon. Ha! Why don't you get him to come here now? See if I'll cut him any slack. Natasha threatened him domineeringly. Quentin, who had just set foot through the door, heard that and immediately retraced his steps. Damn it. He dared not mess with her when she was already angry. Natasha Harmon, you can't do this. Shut up. Natasha lifted a hand and delivered a slap to his face so strong that his nose started to bleed. I've given you your chance, but you didn't take it. Guards. Tie them up and send them to the police station. Following her order, several security guards came and tied Morgan and Mr. Marks up. Ms. Harmon, I was wrong. Please, give me another chance. I'll never do this again. Morgan finally lost his composure when he saw where things were going. He fell to his knees and started begging. Yes, Ms. Harmon, we were just momentarily taken over by greed. Considering how we've labored for the company all these years, could you please forgive us this once? Mr. Marks was so terrified that he was in tears. Even Mr. Finn, the person on whom he relied to support him, was going under. How could he, a mere manager, put up a fight against Natasha? Mr. Rhys, I'm terribly sorry. I was rude and ignorant, please, have mercy on us and let us go. Morgan saw how Natasha was ignoring him, so he quickly changed his target and turned to beg Dustin. What? Julie and Matt watched the proceedings with their mouths agape. The vice president of Harmon Pharmaceuticals was on his knees, begging for forgiveness from a worthless piece of trash. How humiliating. It's too late to repent now. Take them away. Natasha signaled to her guards. They were both quickly dragged away. Their cries and shouts for forgiveness fell on deaf ears. Natasha's swift and decisive course of action caused the crowd to look at her in awe. She was impressive and domineering, truly deserving of her title of the Steel Lady. Dustin, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm taking this opportunity to rid the company of anyone else bearing ill intentions. I don't want an insignificant employee of the company to ruin our reputation. Natasha gave Dustin a heads up and proceeded to leave with her men in tow. It was a critical moment for the company, so she would not allow anyone to jeopardize them from the inside. After Natasha left, all eyes were on Dustin. In the end, Mr. Rhys was the one with the power to decide who the company's rights would go to. Rhys. Why didn't you help plead for Mr. Marks? Julie confronted him, looking dissatisfied. He stole what he was supposed to guard and sold substandard products in secret. He deserved everything that he got today. Why should I help him? Dustin asked calmly. He's a close friend of mine. You could easily have helped him. Why didn't you? Do you even have an ounce of empathy for others in you? Julie glared at him. He's your friend, so what's that got to do with me? In fact, what do you even have to do with me? Dustin said. You're my ex-cousin-in-law. Even if not for my sake, you should have helped him for Dahlia's sake. Why are you so cruel? Julie said brazenly. Ha ha. So you do know that I'm your ex-cousin-in-law. If my memory serves me right, not only did you not help me when I was accused of theft earlier on, you even stepped out to vouch for those who slandered me. Why didn't you think about how I was your ex-cousin-in-law then? Custon snorted. Julie's face flushed instantly. She found no words fit to clear herself of her actions. Chapter 197. All right. Let's put all those behind us and talk business, shall we? Matt stepped in to smooth things over. Dustin, let's be professional here. I'm really interested in the company's rights. Here's $1 million check. I'd like to buy an allocation for the rights. $1 million. Do you take me for a beggar? Dustin found it ridiculous. Hey. Are you saying that $1 million is too little? Aren't you getting greedy? Julie protested indignantly. Just because the Harmons gave you a prescription formula, you think that you can flaunt your authority. You only have authority because you are affiliated with the Harmons. Dustin, let's cut to the chase. Name your price. How much will it take for you to give me the company rights? Matt tried his best to stay calm. No amount of money will be able to get you that. A person of your character is simply not qualified to obtain the company rights for Immortunal. Dustin flat out rejected him. What? You're rejecting money? Matt narrowed his eyes. Well, it depends on the source of the money. Yours come from unsolicited sources, and I don't like that. Dustin turned his nose up at Matt's offer. Dustin, you're going overboard. Matt's expression clouded over. I'm giving way to you and letting go of past grudges, but you better not overstep your boundary and stand in the way of my money. That's right. It's your honor that Matt is interested in having the company rights for Immortunal. Don't be ungrateful and shameless. Julie boasted arrogantly. Are you threatening me? Dustin lifted a brow. That depends on how you see it. It could be a piece of advice as much as it could be a threat. Matt said in a low voice. I don't care if it's advice or a threat. I stand by my words. No way in hell are you getting the company rights. Dustin said it plain and clear. Rhys, are you really hell-bent on crossing me? Matt gritted his teeth. His gaze was as cold and poisonous as a serpent's. So what if I cross you? Do you think I'd be afraid of you? Dustin scoffed. All right then, just you wait. Matt glowered at him before making his way out. Rhys, what good will it do to burn bridges? You're just lucky that you got the prescription formula. Don't get all cocky thinking you're all that. You're only making things difficult for yourself by going against Matt. You despicable person. All you do is rely on others. Just you wail, Rhys. You're going to get it. Julie was just about to leave after she ran her mouth berating Dustin, when several police officers came in. Are you Julie Amberson? The leader asked. So what if I am? Julie shot him a dirty look. We just received a report that you are in league with Morgan Finn and Harvey Marks for selling drugs in private. We have concrete evidence. You'll need to come with us. Hey. What nonsense is that? When have I sold drugs in private? Julie was terrified. Still denying, are we? Harvey Marks has just pointed you out as the mastermind. No way. That's not possible. How could Harvey point me out? You must be mistaken. Julie shook her head vigorously. Come with us, and we'll find out if we're mistaken. Bring her away. The leading officer could not be bothered to waste more time with her. He gave the order to have Julie cuffed and brought away. I'm innocent. This is an injustice. Matt. Save me, Matt. Julie was utterly flustered. She cried out desperately for help, but there was no one there to help her. Matt had hidden away the moment he sensed trouble. He wasn't about to get himself involved. He did not expect Mr. Marks to push the blame on Julie. Chapter 198. An hour later, James burst into the Nicholson manor hurriedly. Mom. I've got bad news. Julie's in big trouble. Trouble. What trouble? Florence was enjoying her tea and responded slowly. Matt just called to tell me that Julie's been sent to jail. That was a shocking piece of news. What? Florence sat bolt upright when she heard that. How did that happen? Why would Julie suddenly be locked up? Matt said that Julie went to the Harmons to buy something called Immortunal, and she got into some sort of conflict with Dustin. Somehow, Julie ended up detained for stealing drugs, James explained. Stealing drugs? No. That's impossible. Julie might be spoiled, but she would never commit theft. As Florence spoke, she suddenly seemed to catch an important piece of information. Hang on, did you just say that Julie had a conflict with Dustin, which was why she got caught? Could it be possible that the worthless piece of trash pulled a dirty trick on her? That's right. That's what Matt said too. James nodded. That rascal has been resentful towards us all along. This time, he must have framed Julie up to seek revenge for his personal grievances. That monster. Has he no conscience? Florence was so furious that she slammed her hand on the table. She spat her words through clenched jaws. The Nicholson family has been nothing but kind to him, but not only is he not grateful, he repays our kindness with enmity. He's nothing but a treacherous beast who betrays people who showed him kindness. What do we do now, Mom? James asked. We have to use our connections to bail Julie out. Florence was flustered. Julie was her only niece, and she doted on her so. Mom, it seems like the only person who can help us now is Matt, James said solemnly. Matt rushed in hurriedly right then. From the looks of it, he had already been running around trying to help Julie. Florence immediately went up to him and started pleading when she saw him. Matt, you've come at the right time. Julie's been apprehended and you're the only one who can save her now. Matt sighed heavily. Mrs. Nicholson, I've been asking around. Julie has been pointed out as the mastermind behind the theft. The Harmons won't let her off easily. From the way things look right now, Julie might be sentenced to prison for around 8 to 10 years. What? Florence was so startled that she nearly lost her footing. Julie is just a dainty little girl who's never been through any hardships. How could she possibly survive 8 to 10 years behind bars? Please, Matt, think of something. You must save her. Mrs. Nicholson, based on the severity of the issue, I need to get my father to help out with this, Matt said with a shake of his head. Anything will do. We'll forever be indebted to you if your father can get Julie out of there. Florence looked at him expectantly. I'll give him a call to see what he says about this. Matt pulled out his phone and gave his father a call. After a brief conversation, he ended the call and said with a troubled expression. Mrs. Nicholson, my father has agreed to save Julie on one condition. And what condition is that? Florence asked. According to my father, Dustin has the prescription formula for amortinol. If you can get the prescription formula from him, then not only will my father be able to save Julie, but he will also give you $30,000 as a reward. Matt's offer was shocking. $30,000. Do you mean it? Florence's eyes lit up. Of course. My father never backs out on a promise. Matt nodded. That's no problem at all. It's just a prescription formula, isn't it? I'll go get it right away. That worthless man would never dare to reject me if I asked for it. Florence was roused. Not only would she be able to get Julie out of prison, but she would also get a large sum of money out of it. What an enticing deal. All right, then I'll be waiting for your good news. Mrs. Nicholson. Matt smiled. James. Get a few men and come with me. Florence ordered and stormed out the door. Chapter 199. At noon, after settling the issue with the dealer, Dustin returned to Peaceful Medical Center. However, as soon as he walked in, he realized that there was an additional person there, an 18-year-old girl with a sweet face. Her hair was tied in a ponytail, and she was dressed casually. She was cleaning the medical center, and sweat poured down her face from how hard she was working. Meanwhile, Gregory was passed out on a recliner, snoring in his sleep. He was covered in a blanket, which was rare. Mr. Rhys, you're back. When the girl saw Dustin, she immediately stood up straight and greeted him, looking nervous. Who are you? Dustin found the situation rather strange. I'm Caitlin Lawler. Ms. Harmon sent me here to take care of Mr. Jones, the girl replied, nodding her head in greeting. Are you of age? Dustin was a little taken aback. He thought Natasha was going to send a middle-aged housekeeper, not a young teenager. I am. I'm already 18 years old. Caitlin nodded her head fervently. Miss, I still think you're too young. At your age, you should be in school. Dustin shook his head. It was just a casual statement, but after Caitlin heard it, she actually fell straight to her knees. Mr. Rhys, I'm begging you to not fire me. I'm very capable. I can do laundry, cook, and clean. No matter how tiring or tedious the task may be. I'm willing to do it. Don't be fooled by my thin figure, I'm actually very strong. Not to mention, I eat very little, so I definitely won't be a burden to you. Huh. Dustin was stunned by the sudden outburst. She was fine earlier, so why was she on her knees right now? Mr. Rhys, I'm begging you. If I do anything poorly, you can scold me and hit me as you wish. I can take anything. So please, don't fire me. As she spoke, she smacked her head on the floor over and over again. After a few harsh knocks, her forehead began to bleed as her skin scraped the hard floor. Foolish girl, what are you doing? Dustin was shocked at the scene before him. He immediately helped her up and comforted her. I wasn't trying to fire you, I was just worried that the work would be too hard on you. It's not hard at all. Caitlin shook her head profusely. With teary eyes, she said, it would be the blessing of a lifetime to be able to serve you and Mr. Jones. I'm not afraid of hard work. If you don't mind, Mr. Rhys, then I am willing to become your laborer. Caitlin, is there something that you're too embarrassed to share? Dustin tried asking. Nothing of that sort. It's completely voluntary on my part. Caitlin explained hastily. I was orphaned when I was young. It was Ms. Harmon who saved me and helped me survive this long. I dare not ask for too much. All I want is to be able to repay Ms. Harmon. I'm very stupid. I don't know anything but hard labor. I hope you won't detest me for it, Mr. Rhys. Seeing the person in front of him look so terrified and pitiful, Dustin let out a sigh. He couldn't help but feel pity for her. She was at the peak of her youth and knew how to tug on people's heartstrings. Caitlin, since you want to stay, then stay, Dustin responded in a gentle voice. Thank you, Mr. Rhys. Thank you. Caitlin got on her knees and began bowing again, knocking her head on the floor once more. Dustin instantly pulled her to her feet. Feigning sternness, he warned, Caitlin, you may stay, but we must set some rules. From today onward, you're not allowed to kneel before anyone. Okay, I'll remember that. Caitlin promised cheerfully. From today onward, you belong to the Peaceful Medical Center. If anyone dares bully you, you just have to tell me. Dustin said, smiling softly. Okay. All right. Go get some rest. You don't need to work now. Okay. Caitlin nodded again. Despite agreeing, she still didn't dare remain idle and continued to wipe the tables and clean up the medical center instead. Dustin felt helpless, but he didn't stop her. Chapter 200. Dustin knew that Caitlin deeply lacked a sense of security. If he asked her not to do anything, she would feel even more lost. At that moment, his phone rang. When he picked up the phone, he heard an unfamiliar voice. Hello, is this Mr. Rhys? I'm the new chief inspector from the Investigation Bureau, Aspen Cruiser. Oh, it's you, Chief Cruiser. Is something the matter? Dustin was surprised. Here's the deal. We just arrested a suspect named Julie Amberson. According to our investigation, she was your sister-in-law, and she's involved in the theft of a mortuinol. I wanted to ask if you wanted to take her case. Aspen asked tentatively. It's fine. This has nothing to do with her, Dustin replied. Although he didn't like Julie, he wouldn't stoop so low as to use his power for his personal revenge and send her to jail. All right, I know what to do now. Enjoy your day, Mr. Rhys. Dustin said nothing as he hung up. Then, he took out an ancient text and began to leaf through it. It was an old habit of his. Whenever he had some free time, he'd pick up a book to read. Suddenly, there was a furious shout from outside. Dustin, get the fuck out here now. Soon after, Florence stormed inside, accompanied by James and a few other thugs. Did you need something from me? Dustin raised his head to level her with a look. You inhumane animal. What did Julie ever do to you? How dare you try to get her in trouble? Florence screamed as soon as she stepped through the door. You're truly devoid of a conscience, you pathetic, shameless, ungrateful, degenerate animal. Mom, since when did you know so many adjectives? James was taken aback. She didn't even graduate from middle school, but she sure knew how to give a good scolding. Is that the point? Florence turned her head and glared hard at James. Then, she wiped her head and looked back at Dustin. Rhys, I bet you have nothing smart to say anymore. I knew you were guilty from the start. I don't know where you heard this unfounded rumor from, but Julie's arrest has nothing to do with me. She was the one who made friends with the wrong crowd, Dustin said, unfazed by her accusations. Bullshit. Do you think that it'll blow over if you keep denying it? I'm warning you, if something happens to Julie in there, you'll never hear the end of it from me. Florence warned through gritted teeth. Did you come here just to tell me this? Dustin was expressionless. Of course not. The reason we graced you with our presence is to ask you for the formula for Immortunal. James declared. That's right. For getting Julie into trouble, you must compensate us. I order you to hand us the formula. Florence demanded, arrogantly. The formula for Immortunal. Custon lifted a brow. Sorry, I can't give it to you. It now belongs to the Harmon family. I don't care. You have to give us a copy today. Florence commanded unreasonably. Exactly. If the Harmon family can have it, then so can we. If you hand us the formula, we won't hold the past against you. James yelled. I told you, I can't give you the formula. If you're here for this, then please leave. Dustin tried to chase them out of the medical center. Bullshit. You have to give it to us today, no matter what. Or else, don't blame us if we do it the hard way. James threatened, an evil glint in his eyes. Seeing the situation turn sour, Caitlin immediately stood in front of Dustin, shielding him. Why you're being so unreasonable? Mr. Rhys has already said he won't give it to you. If you keep insisting, I'll call the authorities. Although she was shaking from fright, she didn't retreat. Where did this bitch come from? Get the fuck out of the way. Angered, James gave Caitlin a harsh slap, and the latter fell to the floor. Her pink cheek began to swell. Dustin's expression darkened. An indescribable anger began to boil inside of him.